initiated in Mar del Plata when Achere was there last time. He initiated like 8 devotees or something like that.
Yeah, last year.
She's ready for a second initiation. Haribol, Devesha, how are you?
Hare Krishna.
Okay, you let me know if you can hear this. Oh, I think I'm. This is it. I was sharing the wrong thing. Okay, now. Ribolito. Very nice. Marisha, are you ready to read today? Very nice. So we read yesterday this, we are going to go to 1117.
Sure.
No, Varesha will read today.
Varesha.
The
Perfect.
Both Beshas.
I
Both
cut
Beshas.
Davy's walk short.
So she can come.
So I could read.
Sorry, Debbie.
Super.
Okay, go ahead, Varesha.
Okay. Starting with the Sanskrit.
Yeah, we start with the Sanskrit. Om Namo, then Sanskrit, yeah.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasya karmani udarani parigitani suribi bru hina shraddha dananam lilaya dadhata kala. Sorry, my Sanskrit's rusty.
Better than mine, so good.
Translation. His transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narada sing of them. Please, therefore, speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures he performs in his various incarnations. Purport. The personality of Godhead is never inactive, as some less intelligent persons suggest. His works are magnificent and magnanimous. His creations, both material and spiritual, are all wonderful and contain all variegatedness. They are described nicely by such liberated souls as Srila Narada, Vyas, Valmiki, Devala, Asita, Madhava, Sri Chaitanya, Ramanuja, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, Sridhar, Vishwanath, Baladev, Bhaktivinoda, Siddhanta Saraswati, and many other learned and self-realized souls. These creations, both material and spiritual, are full of opulence, beauty, and knowledge, but the spiritual realm is more magnificent due to its being full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. The material creations are manifested for some time as perverted shadows of the spiritual kingdom and can be likened to cinemas. They attract people of less intelligent caliber who are attracted by false things. Such foolish men have no information of the reality, and they take it for granted that the false material manifestation is the all in all. But more intelligent men, guided by sages like Vyas and Narada, know that the eternal kingdom of God is more delightful, larger, and eternally full of bliss and knowledge. Those who are not conversant with the activities of the Lord and his transcendental realm are sometimes favored by the Lord in his adventures as incarnations, wherein he displays the eternal bliss of his association in the transcendental realm. By such activities, he attracts the conditioned souls of the material world. Some of these conditioned souls are engaged in the false enjoyment of material senses, and others in simply negating their real life in the spiritual world. These less intelligent persons are known as karmis, or fruitive workers, and jnanis, or dry mental speculators. But above these two classes of men is the transcendentalist known as sattvata, or the devotee, who is busy neither with rampant material activity nor with material speculation. He is engaged in the positive service of the Lord, and thereby he derives the highest spiritual benefit unknown to the karmis and the jnanis. As the supreme controller of both the material and spiritual worlds, the Lord has different incarnations of unlimited categories. Incarnations like Brahma, Rudra, Manu, Prithu, and Vyas are his material qualitative incarnations, but his incarnations like Ram, Nrsimha, Varaha, and Vamana are his transcendental incarnations. Lord Sri Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations, and he is therefore the cause of all causes.
Hari Hari, wow. Nice verse. Now we can talk a little bit and we can move to the next one. But I'm impressed also the fact that Prabhupada always gives so much reference, like if you write an academic paper, you cannot write something out of your head and everybody will take you seriously. You have to write and make reference who else think that way or say so, And so that's how you do reference all the time. And that's how you publish a paper, is if you have reference. And Prabhupada is always giving reference. And he gave us 20 reference of other people saying the same thing as him, so that he's not speaking up of his own whim, also his own creation. And nowadays, with the race of spirituality, is the race of also people who like to cheat and those who like to be cheated, no? And so people just make up, you know, they learn one word and from there they make a whole fountain of information and they make up, you know, but Prabhupada here makes sure that we understand that this is not knowledge that is just his thoughts, you know, and give a whole list of people who know. Obviously, those people we don't know nothing about. Well, some of us know something about them, but in general, we don't know enough about it to make sure that we understand their reference, you know. It's like the same. If you read a paper on statistics and I give you a reference, Alan Rosman, you have no idea who is he, but I know the topic, so I know Alan Rosman is a huge person in the field, and therefore it's super referent if I mention him. Yeah. So the same here. This is a referent people who if you understand the field, you understand that these are prominent on their field, and therefore they can be referenced on that. That's the first thing I noticed, and I'll let you speak, anybody who wants to speak, but I also saw that, you know, that this is the material creation, it has beauty, it has knowledge, but they are limited, no? And we are like, you know, so enchanted by this. We comfort ourselves with very little. We are satisfied with very little, you know. We satisfied with the shadow, we satisfied with a small amount of knowledge, a small amount of beauty, you know, and we have all the other opportunities in there. And the interesting thing about this is also that you don't have to wait until you don't have this body to see the things, you know. We don't have to wait until it's over to experience full knowledge, bliss, and eternity. That's why we have so many gurus, spiritual masters, people who already realized, no? We don't have to wait to believe that, you know, one day in the future you're going to see that. If you want to be pure today, you can experience it today, you know. So we have it in some way our hands. Anyway, those are the things that came to my mind when we were reading. I don't know, Varisha. And also these incarnations, the material quality incarnations versus the, you know, transcendental incarnations. No, they're not all the same quality. They're all manifestation from Krishna, but they are not the same. So that's why, you know, like in Brahma and Rudra and Manu and Vyasa, they are his incarnation, but they don't have the power to give blessings like Rama or Nishingadev or Varaha or Vamana and so on and so forth, because they're not the same quality of incarnations. Anyway, any thoughts, ideas that came up when you were reading? Let's share it.
I love yours.
But you are able to speak as everyone. Patricia, Devesha.
I love yours too.
Oh, they are hiding behind my thoughts. Any ideas, any thoughts?
Let's keep reading.
Let's keep reading, yeah.
The next one, you don't have to read the Sanskrit for them. You just keep reading the other parts.
Okay. Translation. O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. Purport. For the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material worlds, the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead himself, appears in many thousands of forms of incarnations, and the specific adventures found in those transcendental forms are all auspicious. Both those who are present during such activities and those who hear the transcendental narrations of such activities are benefited.
We're going to go to the next verse, but here, just to put in context of the story, the sages and Naimisharanya are trying to get Sutta to speak. But first they glorify him, why he wants to speak. They want him to speak all the qualities he had, all the specialty, the connections, the who he heard from, all that. And now they're saying, you know, what they want to hear, no? Narrate the transcendental pastime of the Supreme Personality of God. So they're not, even though they're trying to get, we read before, they're trying to get, tell us what the people need nowadays to have a peaceful heart. Remember, we read that? You know, how to have people satisfied, no, satisfying heart or something like that. And so now they're saying, well, narrate us the transcendental pastime of the Lord. They know more or less what they want to hear. They're kind of like, you know, they're asking questions, but at the same time, they're very specific because they also know they were not not knowledgeable, you know, they know that this is the way to go, you know. So this is very interesting here also. So
Translation. What's the number of the verse?
good point.
Oh, Srimad Bhagavatam 1:119. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. There is a great difference between mundane stories, fiction, or history, and the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The histories of the whole universe contain references to the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord. The Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Puranas are histories of bygone ages recorded in connection with the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord, and therefore remain fresh even after repeated readings. For example, anyone may read Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly throughout his whole life and yet find in them new light of information. Mundane news is static, whereas transcendental news is dynamic, inasmuch as the spirit is dynamic and matter is static. Those who have developed a taste for understanding the transcendental subject matter are never tired of hearing such narrations. One is quickly satiated by mundane activities, but no one is satiated by transcendental or devotional activities. Uttama Shloka indicates that literature, which is not meant for nescience, Uttama Shloka indicates that literature, which is not meant for nescience. Mundane literature is in the mode of darkness or ignorance, whereas transcendental literature is quite different. Transcendental literature is above the mode of darkness, and its light becomes more luminous with progressive reading and realization of the transcendental subject matter. The so-called liberated persons are never satisfied by the repetition of the words Aham Brahmasmi. Such artificial realization of Brahman becomes hackneyed, and so to relish real pleasure, they turn to the narrations of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who are not so fortunate turn to altruism and worldly philanthropy. This means the Mayavad philosophy is mundane, whereas the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental.
Hari Hari. Nowadays, we never get tired of hearing about the famous people. You know, we replace God by, you know, the magazines, the newspapers and everything, you know. Here in America, it's all about Trump now or whatever, you know.
The Kardashians.
Yeah, also, you know, whatever the people are famous now, everybody's like over and reading and everybody interview and yeah, they want to know more. Imagine that idea for Krishna. You know, for us, we are really far. So it's like, you know, we can't even understand it, but because we can see the people attracted to famous people and how they are eager to hear. And he moved the finger, he put his name on the sun, blah, blah, blah. Now he went to eat ice cream. They narrate everything, you know, almost what underwear they were in, you know. I mean, they narrate everything about the person, you know. But I mean, at least that gives us a flavor of what these people were reading about, were experiencing when they were listening about the pastime of Krishna, you know. They were really that eager, that desire, that, you know, and they wanted to know every piece of it, and they were like not satiated with it. They wanted to know more and more, you know. So we have a perverted reflection of that, but at least some way to relate to that, you know. Okay, one more and then we chant.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Verse 20. Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. The doctrines of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism are never applicable to Sri Krishna or the personality of Godhead. The theory that a man becomes God by dint of penance and austerities is very much rampant nowadays, especially in India. Since Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were detected by the sages and saints to be the personality of Godhead, as indicated in the revealed scriptures, many unscrupulous men have created their own incarnations. This process of concocting an incarnation of God has become an ordinary business, especially in Bengal. Any popular personality with a few traits of mystic powers will display some feat of jugglery and easily becomes an incarnation of Godhead by popular vote. Lord Sri Krishna was not that type of incarnation. He was actually the personality of Godhead from the very beginning of his appearance. He appeared before his so-called mother as four-armed Vishnu. Then, at the request of his mother, he became like a human child and at once left her for another devotee at Gokula, where he was accepted as the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mata. Similarly, Sri Baladev, the counterpart of Sri Krishna, was also considered a human child born of another wife of Sri Vasudev. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his birth and deeds are transcendental, and that anyone who is so fortunate as to know the transcendental nature of his birth and deeds will at once become liberated and eligible to return to the kingdom of God. So knowledge of the transcendental nature of the birth and deeds of Lord Sri Krishna is sufficient for liberation. In the Bhagavatam, the transcendental nature of the Lord is described in 9 cantos, and in the 10th canto, his specific pastimes are taken up. All this becomes known as one's reading of this literature progresses. It is important to note here, however, that the Lord exhibited his divinity even from the lap of his mother, that his deeds are all superhuman. He lifted Govardhan Hill at the age of 7, and that all these acts definitively prove him to be actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, due to his mystic covering, he was always accepted as an ordinary human child by his so-called father and mother and other relatives. Whenever some Herculean task was performed by him, the father and mother took it otherwise, and they remained satisfied with unflinching parental love for their son. As such, the sages of Naimisharanya describe him as apparently resembling a human being, but actually he is the supreme almighty personality of Godhead.
Hari Hari. Yeah, so merciful Krishna, no? Because otherwise he would not be able to chastise him or, or teach him anything, as a child, because, he's Supreme Personality of God. So he's so merciful that he lets people be covered by Yoga Maya, no Mahamaya like us. Oh, Hey, but Jackie's here. Hari Hari. Anyway, so thank you for reading Varesha. And the Vesha, we alternate one day you, one day Varesha. So
I'm giving him a break.
yeah, he was reading for so long. Yeah. He was reading every single day. So very nice. Thank you, Varesha. You read so beautiful. Thank you. Any comments of what we read? Any feedback?
I can't wait to get into the pastimes.
Well, yeah, it takes a while, but it's interesting because this gives us the flavor of how to relate to people who have this knowledge, They give you the understanding that somebody has the knowledge, but you just, glorify them, understand them, know why you're going to ask him that, and also what they want to know and how they want to know. And here soon are going to have 6 questions the sages will ask Sutta Goswami. The whole Bhagavatam is to answer those 6 questions. So you can write them down and have an idea. And then we go to the pastimes. And, like after listening to Radhika Raman, I'm eager to listen to the prayers, because in the past, the prayer were like, yeah, they're glorifying, sometimes you get lost who's glorifying who and what, because there's so many conversations going on in here. And then he said, listen to the voice of the person who's glorifying, because in that voice, you hear the relationship they had with the person. So, we think the pastime of Krishna is the only relationship we want to hear, but in reality, in the prayers, you will hear the relationship. Like Mother Kunti will pray in a certain way because she has certain relation with Krishna, you know. And Brahma had a different relation with Krishna, so we have a different form of glorifying. So in those glorifications, you start see, oh, this is how they, you know, they were this kind of relationship. You can tell more, you know, the type of relationship by the type of glorification. So, you know, like I already emphasized this, but I will say it again. If you want to really nourish the Srimad better, squeeze all the juice of it, listen to the class of Radhika Raman, which is talk the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and help you to see with the different glasses, let's say, you know, with the glasses of somebody who really know how to extract the more juice out of it, you know, the whole nectar about it. It changed.
It's on YouTube?
Yeah, I put it on the chat for us, and
Okay.
they practice Adana. They are together. That it's called the Glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's incredible. I listened to it like 3 times, and now I'm translating to Spanish every Monday to the devotees in Argentina, and it's incredible how because Radhika Raman, born with the Srimad Bhagavatam, the mother and father taught him how to read and write with the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Wow.
So he has his whole life. He's no, he's not academically well known of the Bhagavatam because he did a PhD on the Bhagavatam and he wrote books from the Bhagavatam for the academia. But so he knows all these people that we mentioned today, like 12 people. He knows each of them. He knows what they wrote, how they wrote it, what the significance, the timeline. So he knows all of that academic aspect of it, but he also knows the essence of it. So if you listen to Radhika Raman, he will relate your life stories to the stories of the Srimad Bhagavatam, you know, in a way that never seen it before. He has this talk about forgiveness. And then, you know, forgiveness, you know, when the Bhagavatam talks about forgiveness, you know, before I heard him, I didn't realize the Bhagavatam talk about forgiveness in anywhere, you know. And then he relates this pastime, that pastime, and that type of forgiveness, and why. And so, and you know, his life is the Srimad Bhagavatam, basically, you know. And he's a professor, he's a father, he has, you know, he's a director of a university. And so he has embedded the Bhagavatam in a real life situation, you know, and so it makes it more accessible to us to read it and see how it applies to our life. So anyway, I can't emphasize enough for people to read, to listen to his talk. They're long because they're seminar-like, but I mean they're so incredible, enriched with realization. You know, when somebody speaks from realizations, it's like it has a flavor. It has a, you know, it touches your heart differently, I think, you know. So anyway, I just want to tell you that I'm fascinated by reading the Bhagavatam again with different lenses, even though I'm far away from really understand everything he said, but at least it changed my perspective a little bit more, you know. So I'm trying to get the juice of every part and seeing through his teaching, you know, how to relish every part of it. So anyway, thank you for being here. Let's offer our respectful obeisances to all devotees, Vaishnavas of the Lord. They are like a desire trees, able to fulfill everyone's desires, and they're full of compassion for all the conditions all share.
Jai.
It's 7:08 here in California. I don't know if you guys have time. I want to chant some rounds. If not, see you tomorrow or whenever you can come. So happy to see you, Flora and Jackie and Baiduria. Jackie is my niece, and Baiduria is my great grandniece. And she is a devotee since birth, I mean, since before birth, Baiduria. Anyway, tell you the story later because now we have to chant. Okay, put the timer. You can open your mics if you want, and then we chant 10 minutes. Bye-bye, Devesha. See you tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Hari Hari.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Saraswati Purandare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Vandana Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Vandana Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama